Hi there, this is Diane with another movie review. I went to go see My Sister's Keeper tonight, and what an amazing film this was. I'm going to give it my thumbs up on this one. Even though I didn't leave jumping and leaping and happy, it was a movie that is definitely worth seeing, which deals with some very painful but realistic life themes, which is dealing with the impending death of somebody who has an incurable disease in your family. And the casting was just so wonderful. Cameron Diaz was great as the mother, who the little story is that family discovers that one of their daughters has leukemia and she can't find a match, like a bone marrow match, and so they have another kid who can be that match. And as the child grows and continues to provide what the other child needs, as she grows, she realizes, this isn't fair to me. I have my own life. I'm not just, bred for parts to give to this other child. So anyway, it leaves some interesting questions in your head as to, at what lengths do you go to save one of your kids, when really she wants to save both of them. But anyway, so the main lioness that I identified with, I guess, is Cameron Diaz's character, which is the mother. And she, at any cost wants to save her daughter, who is, she's terminal. So anyway, it was very, very interesting. It was a realistic family dynamic about what happens when one person is so sick that they take all of the attention, and what happens to the other people who are sort of, left in the wake of all of that stuff, and how people are they're just called on to just continue to give, and maybe they just get brushed aside. But what was fascinating about it, I thought, was that, all of us have our own worlds that we live in, and we all have our own take on things. And so this is actually told through, I think it was 6 different people's vantage points. So they told the story from the brother's view, they told the story from the other sisters, they told the story from the dad, they told the story from, anyway, so they told it from different vantage points, which was helpful because, yes, we all have our own view, and it explains sometimes why we do the things we do in the manner in which we do them. So there was a particular scene, of course it's very touching, and you're going to need some tissues in this one. You're not going to leave happy, but it's okay, because that's one of the powerful gifts that movies bring us, is the ability to evoke emotions that we can identify with, and that we can realize that we are all part of the human family, and we can all experience that human experience and feel what they feel, and realize that could be me. That could be my family. That could be my daughter. That could be my sister. That could be, my husband or whatever. So, but anyway, it's a very interesting dynamic about at what lengths do you go to preserve life. Alec Baldwin was in this, and his character is kind of fun. And the girl who is sort of, quote, bred to give her parts to the sister who's sick, she decides at age 11 that she's had enough, and so she goes to hire a lawyer to get emancipated for her medical conditions, to say, no, I don't want to donate my kidney to my sister. And anyway, she goes to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer is Alec Baldwin, and he really handles his part well. I just, I think he's lots of fun, everything I've seen him in. The dad is a really wonderful character too, and he's easy on the eyes. You can go to the beach again, and let me see you with your shirt off again. Anyway, lots of pretty people to look at in this film too. Joan Cusack, who plays the judge, is just, I just love Joan Cusack. Her facial expressions and her mannerisms and her just believability, her sincerity is very, very poignant in this film. She has a way of being together but also having a heart, And can you imagine being a judge over life and death situations like that? It's just awful. But she's so cute. She goes to visit the girl in the hospital, and she herself has just lost a child. And so it really kind of shows the very human, the very flawed part of all of us that we have with regards to, the weaknesses that we endure. There's one scene, and I thought this was kind of cool, even though the girl was kind of young to be going out on a date or doing whatever. She's in the hospital and has a little rendezvous with another cancer patient who's just this darling little teenage guy, and he says, hey, what's your number or whatever. So anyway, so they go out, and being the makeover queen that I am, I thought, well, consider the obvious. Why isn't she wearing wigs? It's so easy to get a wig. But he invites her to go to this prom that the hospital has for cancer patients. And so her big thing is she's like, oh, I'm ugly. And one of the deepest needs of a woman, of a young woman, of a woman, is to feel that she is beautiful. And so when you don't have your hair, when you don't have things the way that you want them, you sort of feel like my worth as a woman is lost. And dads out there, if you're watching this, your role in your daughter's life is so important. I can't even tell you, it's so important that you just tell her how darling she is, how much you think she's beautiful, and that whole thing, my pretty daddy, and as they twirl around in their dresses. And don't criticize your daughters, love your daughters, tell them how beautiful they are. They need to hear it from you, of all people. They need that from you. And there's a scene in here where she comes downstairs for this little prom for the hospital, and she does just look like a knockout. But again, who does she seek approval? Her father. There's some very, very tender moments in this. Very, very tender. It does evoke the little plucking of strings in your heart. And don't be afraid of that. Go ahead and embrace it. And if the tears flow, let them flow. And it proves you're human, proves you got a heart. And so enjoy the film. I wouldn't take little kids. There's scenes of her retching and having blood coming out of her nose and blood throwing up, and it's really, it's realistic, but I don't want to see it. I could have done without that, but it was, it was realistic. So I wouldn't take little kids. It's rated PG-13, and there's a reason for that. And there's a little bit of the night after they go to the prom, they have a little, another kind of rendezvous too, and that's another reason why it's rated PG-13. So, but it wasn't offensive. They didn't have, a whole heck of a lot of, it was worth seeing. So, would I say it's a chick flick? I don't know. It wasn't a big lot of action or whatever. It was a lot of dialogue, but it was worth seeing. So, thanks again for watching. I'm Diane, out and about. One woman's opinion.